Okay, so here are my quick thoughts on the 2025 James Gunn Superman. So the thing that I find interesting as far as people's response to this movie is that it seems to be very polarizing. People seem to either really like it or they seem to just really dislike it. Just to get it out of the way, I actually really enjoy the movie. I I think I've more or less I haven't hated any Superman, any live action depiction of Superman, from Brandon Roth to Henry Cavill. I actually like Henry Cavill, but I would say maybe since Christopher Reeve and in the I believe 1978 Superman, this is probably my favorite one. I think one thing that is kind of disliked about this movie is that Superman is kind of goofy. The movie itself is kind of goofy, but really Superman is goofy. So we're presented with three other active crime fighters in this movie, and they're not nearly as, I'm going to keep saying it, goofy. Mr. Terrific, kind of a bit of a breakout character. I really like him, but he's very serious. Guy Gardner, he gives off jerk cop energy, which if you're familiar with Guy Gardner, that's not surprising. Not bad cop, not crooked cop, not abusive cop, but jerk cop. And considering the Green Lantern Corps are intergalactic cops, and we know how Guy Gardner is if you read the comic or if you're familiar with Green Lantern, that kind of fits. Hawkgirl, the more I thought about her character, having, like, there's this thing where when she's attacking, she's screeching like a hawk. That would actually be terrifying. I know the actress who plays her, is it Merced? Um, she's like 5'1". I don't care. Having a 5'1" harpy creature carrying a mace screeching at you would be terrifying. The actress herself is gorgeous, but that would be one of the most terrifying things. And while I was watching this movie, she's doing that. I'm like, oh no, that would be actually really scary to see. The thing is that Superman is supposed to be goofy to some extent. Look, it makes sense for Superman to be goofy. Superman lives in Metropolis, right? The stand-in for New York City, except for grandeur. And Superman is this Kansas farm boy. Superman is a fish out of water, not because he's an alien, because he grew up in this idealistic environment with these two loving parents who themselves are country people. And then he lives in this city. Even there's the battle in the movie where he's with the other three superheroes, and his approach to fighting this monster, at least what he wants to do with fighting the monster, is different than the other three. They're just like, no, dog, we're going to take care of this. He's like, well, can we send it to an intergalactic zoo or something? And at one point, one of the other three are just like, damn, dude, are you serious? No, we're killing this thing. So in a world where there are homicidal villains, where there are ruthless killers, where there are these trans-dimensional threats, you have Superman, who is idealistic, who values life, all life, regardless of level of sentience, regardless of size. Superman saves a squirrel in this movie. Like, literally, he saves a squirrel. He saves a squirrel with the same care he would a human being because he values all life. And I think that's nice. I'm not saying that I want every superhero in the DC universe to be that way. We've seen, this is an extension, kind of a reboot of what we've seen in the DC universe that James Gunn has created. But we have peacemakers. We have we have blood sports. We have implied Batman. I don't know what Batman in James Gunn's universes looks like. And even though Batman has a no-kill rule that I don't think Superman technically, I don't think he has a no-kill rule. He just avoids it. But you have these gritty, violent, almost ruthless villains and heroes. So what we have with Superman is someone who is, he's not like them. And that's fine. I don't think even Kara, Supergirl, is she doesn't have the same restrictions of Superman. I don't know if she kills, but she's not Superman. And then another complaint that I've seen people have, this is how Superman's always getting beat up. Superman does get his ass kicked a lot in this movie. Superman's biggest weakness, and I wouldn't even call it a weakness, is not kryptonite. It's that he holds back. He knows that he could just, I think on some level, he knows he could just completely wreck shop. I think a Superman that doesn't hold back, that's not this. A Superman that doesn't hold back is not getting beat up as often as the Superman in this movie. At one point, Superman is fighting this villain, and I've heard people comment, and this talking about the movie, of how this villain manages to get the upper hand with Superman using technology and being vague and intentional because no spoilers, right? I feel that Superman could have taken care of this enemy in a much easier and, well, in a much more effective fashion. But once again, Superman tries to avoid killing. Even when confronted with an enemy that he saw murder someone, he still preaches to this enemy, trying to explain why he is who he is. And I think part of Superman doing that is trying to not only explain his own humanity to this murderer, but also maybe expose some semblance of humanity in this murderer. Like he's trying to maybe somehow reform him. Superman is hope and all that, I think. Batman is vengeance, Superman is hope, and Green Lantern is a cop. So I think a lot of the people who are watching the Superman movie and not liking it, I think there's legit, like, I didn't like the script, I didn't like the design of the of Superman's suit, which, I mean, once again, Superman's suit, it was created by an Iowa farm woman. It's not going to look, like cool body armor. I mean, or not body armor. It's not going to look like cool Under Armour. So I think that some people who don't like the movie, they have legit reasons to not like the movie. But I also think a lot of people didn't like the movie because they're expecting one thing and they got another. And I always say that when you're going to go watch a movie, watch the movie in front of you, compare it to itself, and not compare it to the movie that you've created in your head.